frontal-facing death balling. We crash into each other. We exchange ultimates. Winston can really throw things to the wind. But I would certainly run maybe with the roster, the comp that Mayhem is showing right now, with Manhattan sticking on that Diva Eps. On the Widow, I think could also be a really interesting pick.
That's going to be a scout. Well, so
scout,
yeah, they're going to he's going to zoom in onto the defense, see what they're going against, tell the team, and they'll make adjustments as necessary.
I can quit crushing my dreams, man.
I'm just so used to it at this point. It's one of the greatest pastimes of our friendship.
No, I believe that.
So they're going to see the gates open, and they're going to see each other, and Eps will be switching off onto that Zenyatta. Uprising Academy, though, on the back foot after that last game, getting held on point A. This is going to be a familiar situation for them. They're on the defense first this time, so that could be an advantage for them, as Manton's going to knock Kraken off of the high ground, but really they're just saying hello to each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those diva things. Their culture is very different, but right now, just jostling here, whichever Reinhardt does manage to get up to that Earthshatter first will be a big difference maker for his team. But right now, they're just trying to conserve that shielding. So we see Dino from the backline firing those orbs down, but Fusions goes back to respawn, and that's the defensive one, my friend. So you know that it's going to be very far away. Uprising going to have to give up a significant amount of space.
Yeah, Fusion's going to have to run a 5K to get back to at this point. Mayhem Academy has all 6 members to try to take this first tick, and they do. And because of the Fusion's kill, all it takes is 1. Maybe, though, they're like, hey, this was so fast. Maybe this doesn't give Mayhem an opportunity to get those ults and snowball.
That's very possible, and what Uprising will be hoping for. Eps close to that Transcendence, but everybody else, quite a bit a ways. Apply is actually going to be the closest one to that Graviton Surge, about 63-65% coming in. So Uprising, they have a window of opportunity here for Fusions to come up to his Earthshatter and try and make a difference. A redemption arc.
They're going to try to flank from the left side. They have been spotted out, though, as Swimmer's going to be taken very, very low, but Lucio's are so good at getting away. They're so fast. Rollerblades are faster than feet. Uprising Academy also have 2 ultimates versus the Transcendence on Mayhem Academy. Self-Destruct will be the next one online for them. Paintbrush will have that sound barrier, but Transcendence Eye coming from both sides right now. Uprising Academy doesn't have much more after this. Self-Destruct now, though, is going to come out and take Fact and Fiction down, and so without that Reinhardt, Mayhem Academy going to have a hard time staying alive, and they're going to go back to spawn.
Yep, that's going to be a stuffed push for Mayhem, and a great decision-making actually from Fusions, who will have another Earthshatter for his troubles after the first one was met by Eps' Transcendence. Even though none of the kills were necessarily coming through, those big hammer swings knocked Shaxx from that platform down onto the lower ground, so he wasn't able to apply any of that Inspire healing or shield bashes, really contribute to his team in any way. So a makeshift 5v6 in essence.
Well, it's gonna miss the jump. That
Nobody
feels
saw that.
bad. Yeah, no one did. Everyone's great. Self-Destruct not gonna get anything. Graviton Surge also gonna whiff from Mayhem Academy, so finding no value on 2 very impactful ultimates.
And now all they have in their back pocket is going to be Paintbrush's sound barrier here. Uprising, though, they have all the time in the world. It is on Mayhem's shoulders to try and engage.
Oh, Fact Fiction not gonna use that Earthshatter just yet. He's gonna get a kill on Klaus first, so Uprising Academy on that defense only have 5 members. Kraken and DMAC Fusions is down. Mayhem Academy doesn't have any more ultimates, but they have way more bodies on the field right now. Swimmer's gonna have to be an absolute legend to stay on this point, and he will not. Now the stalls are going to happen as Klaus is on that Hammond, that Wrecking Ball, and now we're gonna see them come one by one, and eventually Mayhem will be taking this point unless the stall works.
So close. A wall comes through. The Transcendence not going to be able to save Crackalakin's mech, but there is a stalling May. Actually, no longer. It was actually Eps who finds the headshots onto Asking, and with that, sets up an impressive time bank for Mayhem Academy.
Oh, man. Made it interesting there at the end with that Transcendence. If they were able to save that mech, they might be in a different situation, but that's not what history says for this right now. Mayhem Academy have a huge time bank going into their defense.
Yeah, Apply not so good at press and Q, but Mouse 1 is still within his reach. He was the difference maker for Mayhem that entire round. You saw Uprising look like they had the upper hand here, even with the loss of Klaus. A great Graviton Surge to set up a ton of damage to come through, but it was another great move from Fact Fiction, a counter shatter that laid all of Uprising down on their backs. And Apply, you can see that efficacy, that high charge Zarya just making mincemeat of Dino and Swimmer.
Efficacy means confidence, right? Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Super extra confident.
Yeah. That was for myself.
Yes.
Okay. So now going into, it's like I don't know if I know what that word means.
No, it means very effective.
4 minutes and 36 seconds on the clock for Mayhem Academy. If Uprising Academy are able to take both points, they struggled to take one on Hollywood, but hey, you know, revenge is sweet.
Oh yes, and maybe a dish best served cold. Maze, anyone? No, I don't think we're going to see any shenanigans from Uprising. They seem very happy, content to go with the GOATS composition once again. Oh, fusions! This happened once before. I mean, actually, just earlier in this round. But I doubt the Widowmaker will be coming through. Some of the members of GOATS can be vulnerable to that one-shot potential, but more likely we're just going to be seeing a little bit more GOATS, and Fusion's not going to be the first one dead on his team as he has been so many times before.
The gates are going to open right here, right now, and Uprising Academy are going to start their offense on that GOATS comp. We're going to see mirror comps again on both sides. GOATS is triple tank, triple support, and it's all based on enabling that Reinhardt. Well, it's enabling each other, but once that Reinhardt goes down, he's the most important person. He's dead. You're pretty much out of there. Amp It Up is going to put them on to at the point. The speed boost is there. Great shield bash onto Shax from Klaus, but Klaus will get the revenge killed from Manitin, but this is a 5v4 right now for Uprising Academy to try to take this first point, with Manitin getting demech thanks to Dino, who's fragging out right now here on this first point. It's going to be easier and easier for Uprising to get on the point and take it.
Yeah, Crackalack alive, able to finish off Epps as well. Unfortunately, Manitin tried to zoom onto that high ground, missed it by just a hair, got demeched, and then the rest of the kills really came piling on for Uprising Academy, and they're going to pull a Mayhem and, you know,
not have anything going into the snowball, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, same situation, but what Mayhem got the advantage of on their attack was after this first one, they had 5 ultimates to try to do it again. They're close enough to get ultimates this fight, making the next one the best opportunity.
100% Uprising. Probably just going to go for an eco push, see what they can get. Maybe, you never know. Sometimes Overwatch will still surprise you here. Fact Fiction, though, really close to that Earthshatter. So Fusion's got to be watching that shield, but it's Shax down once again.
Watch Shax's shield go down. Is going to get the kill instead. 6v5 for Uprising Academy on this point, but Epps is going to take Dino down, so there's going to be no Transcendence for Uprising Academy. We're on the point right now. Crackalack has the self-destruct, nothing to it. Now Asuka's trying to get that DMech. Gets the DMech, but the self-destruct will be out there to try to save it. Manitin will not be alive to get back into that mech. Transcendence now coming from Mayhem Academy. Things are getting a little sticky for them as Uprising Academy are going to get sucked into that, going to throw the grab, and Mayhem is going to get sucked into it, but the particle barrier for the ally is down for Apply. Apply still has that Graviton Surge, is going to get 3 members into it, and Apply will be getting those kills. So finally, at the end, it was a little squirrely, but Mayhem Academy are going to put up this defense.
Yeah, unfortunate. Fact Fiction had such a crucial shatter right there to try and stop some of that momentum, maybe save that tick, but it was, you know, going bowling a 7-10 split. Unfortunately, didn't catch anybody, but he will have another attempt for this second push. Uprising, they unfortunately threw in that Transcendence as well. Swimmer actually had the sound barrier up a little bit earlier, but he was dead too quickly to be able to use it. And Uprising, once again, finding a lot of their damage blunted by Mayhem Academy, just through, you know, some really good positioning and focus fire.
And so Mayhem Academy are going to drop down on 2 at the point as they see where this flank is taking place, but they might have done that a little bit too soon. That high ground advantage, hey, you never go with the high ground, right? We learned that from a very good movie. But Fact Fiction does have the Earthshatter for them to come in and walk into. Uprising Academy now just taking a tour of Hanamura Point B right now, taking a tour of everything except the point. They haven't found a way to get on there quite yet.
Yeah, and usually you would see maybe setting up a Soldier 76, but it's pure GOATS here. Swimmer gonna finally, oh, that was a Grand Canyon type slam. Fusion's down on the ground courtesy of Fact Fiction. Sound barrier not going to be mitigating any of this damage.
But no Reinhardt's on either side, but without Klaus and that Inspire healing, Uprising Academy are going to have a hard time trying to get onto this point, and it's going to be the same story for them as they're going back to spawn. Mayhem Academy also has 3 great ultimates on their side.
Yeah, couldn't ask for any better. You have an offensive potential with that Graviton Surge and both defensive supportive ultimates. Uprising, you know, they got to start pulling something together. So often they've opened these fights with great picks, often onto Shax, Fact Fiction potentially, but they don't seem to be able to make usage of that within the window of opening at the defensive spawns are quite far.
Oh my goodness, the self-destruct looked really, really good. Maybe was a little too low to do anything about it. Graviton Surges from both side Transcendences to counter those. Dino's actually going to die before their Transcendence will be online, so because he is back at spawn, the rest of the Uprising Academy are really, really going to struggle. He's going to maybe have to use that Transcendence to get back on to the point. Oh, actually, to get back to the team, but hey, Mayhem pushed him back to spawn. It don't matter how fast Dino is, everyone's going to him.
You got legs, but you don't use them to walk. Interesting choice. But Uprising, once again, they were able to draw some ultimates out of Mayhem Academy, but it is not being very cost effective right now. They themselves investing very heavily in these fights. They often lose a member very early on, get that stagger. Dino was the one to go down first. This time around, Klaus has also fallen prey, and so once again, it's going to be another eco push. There's no way for Uprising to meet Mayhem Academy's time, and it may not even happen at this point.
It is deja vu all over again. Well, that seems a little redundant. Dino is going to go down first, and the rest of Uprising again will be joining him at spawn. You know, we're saying the same thing over and over, particularly about Dino going down first, but without that Transcendence, they don't have anything.
Yeah, it is very difficult thing. They don't have any of that damage either. That Discord Orb, so crucial in shredding those shields and burning those tanks down quickly. We've talked a lot about that timing, that tempo, and how quickly some of these windows of opportunity will close, and your Zenyatta is one of those key heroes that help you take advantage of those moments when they happen.
Graviton Surge coming from Mayhem Academy. They had a huge ultimate economy advantage. The Uprising, this is an eco push for them. They're just trying to take as many ults away, and it looks like Mayhem's actually being very patient with this. Fact Fiction dying with that Earth Shatter actually not that bad for them, but now the rest of them are going to fall, so Mayhem are going to have to try to get back onto this point with those ultimates, but Fact Fiction just respawned. He'll be there in no time. They have the time to get back onto the point. Uprising Academy, though, pushing them back to spawn. Transcendence back to the point right now. Sound Barrier as well to escort them. That was a little close for comfort for Mayhem Academy, but they do have the tools to take this in the end. Self-Destruct is going to get shacked, so no rally for them. And look at this, just playmaking potential from Uprising Academy. Fusion's getting that kill onto Apply. Is going to give them the advantage for this point right here. And right now, Mayhem Academy is going to go back to spawn, and Uprising Academy will be getting both points here on Hanamura. We're going to extra innings.
Yeah, there is a round 3 and 4 in our future here, folks. Dino popping that trance wasn't enough to save Fusions, if I remember. No, it was actually Asking going down. Really curious how that happened. It seemed like the Reinhardt was up alive, but maybe the positioning not quite there. But this was the place where Uprising finally found their momentum. That kill onto Manitin was crucial. Even though Asking eventually did feed his Graviton Surge straight into the Diva's Maw at the very end of the fight, Uprising were able to seal the deal. It's like, I don't even need this grab, man.
Yeah, well, Fact Fiction dying with Earth Shatter there might have not been that big of a deal. They were able to get back onto the point because of the Transcendence, but because the Transcendence had to come out to race onto the point and the Sound Barrier was there, layering those ultimates, you know, it's debatable if that's ever appropriate, but definitely not in that situation.
No. I mean, the only time where layering those support ultimates could be justifiable is if you need to save your own life, right? Having a Lucio alive, even at the cost of a Sound Barrier in those kinds of desperation moments it is debatable. Another thing could be you're caught in a Graviton Surge, they have the Discord Orb on your Zarya, and you're afraid that they're going to burst through that trance healing. You may drop a Sound Barrier also just to keep that Zarya alive in those desperation moments. But you know, a lot of times it really is not ideal. But Mayhem, they're going to have a chance at another bite of the cake. Uprising will be attacking first as they have the smaller time bank here. And again, no surprises. Once again, going with this Goats composition, but hopefully Dino staying a little bit safer in the back line.
Yeah, Asking, this is a race for him to get a Graviton Surge within 1 minute and 45 seconds. Dino had to get his headshot right there, but with Fusions going down, this is a reset. Basically, you're just feeding Mayhem ultimate charge at this point.
Yeah, the healing not quite there for how deep Fusions wanted to go. Losing a Reinhardt, we've said it time and time again, you really need to have that main tank up and alive at the ready. Losing that fight means a little bit time off the clock, but more importantly, it means Mayhem Academy are now slowly ticking up towards those crucial ultimates. Fact Fiction, almost 80% to Shatter.
Mayhem Academy so close again, like you said, to those ultimates. It's going to be what they need, and they're very far ahead of their counterparts on Uprising Academy, but it doesn't matter when you're dead. Asking, getting that kill onto Fact Fiction is going to open the point A for Uprising Academy, particularly now that Mayhem only functioning with 4 people on the point. And like we said before, when it's a 6v4, that 6 is just so brutal. It's heavy. It's hard to deal with. You know, things can happen. Crazy things have happened in the past, but we're not going to see it here. Uprising Academy will be taking this first point and 3 points in total.
Yeah, that is a crucial bit of buffer that Uprising have just now bought themselves, and dollars well spent. They're not only going to have that point to give when it's their time to defend, but they have tons of ultimates rolling into point B. It is going to be a particle effect showdown, Boop, in this next battle, because there's only 40 seconds left on this point. If you want to try and make a difference, you got to do it now.
There's one chance. Don't blow your shot. So they're going to go ahead and go in and try to take Fact Fiction down immediately. That was actually a dangerous place to be all huddled up there with Fact Fiction having that Earth Shatter, but he's deciding to keep it. And Uprising Academy getting close to 4 ultimates. Klaus has used that rally already, so there is that damage mitigation. I do like that they're being patient here onto the high ground, but with Fusions dropping down onto the low ground, we have our engagement. Graviton Surge on the right side. Self-destruct might be behind them, and it will get a triple kill. Reinhardt had no idea where to push that shield, and so the backline got eaten by that self-destruct. That is huge from Crackalacken.
Massive. Apply, though, still has its own Graviton Surge. Is going to take a miracle, the best black hole you've ever seen, but the counter shatter means nobody's going to be up on their feet to try and apply any of that damage. It is a foregone conclusion. Uprising Academy will once again finish out HamTornado. What a crazy debate right there. I am still slack-jawed at it. Shax was the only one caught up in that grab who had any kind of shielding to try and protect against Crackalack's self-destruct. Oh, and the stun from Klaus onto Fact Fiction as well. He couldn't even have protected himself if he wanted to. That is the kind of mind game, next level play that we see with GOATs.
Yeah, and so again, while that shield bash isn't visually very apparent, we saw how impactful it was. Part of me thinks that the shield wasn't there quite enough. Those 2 deaths would have happened, but without the shield bash, the Reinhardt wouldn't have gone down too.
Yeah, the Ryan might have stayed alive himself. I also just like the fact that Fusions was like, yo, man, you gonna come at me, man? And the Fact Fisher's like, yeah. It's like the classic Reinhardt thing, right? You gotta face off across from each other, but surprise, the rest of your team is getting grabbed behind you.
Yeah, you have to have that awareness, and whenever the Reinhardt is split like that, that's always going to be bad news for your team because they don't have the protection, particularly since D.Va was also over there with them.
You got to have your Reinhardt's back, but sometimes he needs to have yours too. And it's just so hard. It's so hard to know when those crucial moments will happen, Boop. We, of course, not nearly at the level of any of these players here. We just call it like we see it. And we have to remember that even though Mayhem did give up both points, they have 30 more seconds than is usually given you to attack HamTornado A, so they're not going to be feeling too worried.
Yeah, Uprising Academy only needed 1 minute and 45, so what they want to do here on point A is take as much time off of the clock. They could give this up and actually feel pretty safe going into the second point, but they want to take at least 1.5 minutes off right now. Fusion's at 20% onto that Earth Shatter, very far ahead from Fact Fiction, but the way that Reinhardt's work, that can change at any second.
Sometimes you just land those money fire strikes right here. Fact Fiction taken extremely low. The shield bash not connecting exactly how they would have hoped, but a risky charge right there. Fact Fiction is actually caught by the choke, eats a fire strike from Fusions, and the rest of the team that had already gone into that hallway now going to have to beat a hasty retreat.
Yeah, you saw Shax backing up as well, so that was a fight that was never going to happen. Fact Fiction taken very low. The healing wasn't there to help him out, so that means the healers weren't getting that ultimate charge either.
Yeah, it is a very dangerous place to be as a Reinhardt. Anytime you hit shift, you have to be calculating. It's like that GIF, a million calculations going on at the same time, the cost benefit of that reposition. And once you hit that charge, you don't know where you're going to end up necessarily, as I do believe it was a boop or a bash that knocked Fact Fiction back.
And so they're going to see each other at the gate. Graviton Surge coming from Uprising Academy, and they're going to convert on that one as everyone is going to be going back to spawn, having a little party. You know, they have 6 seconds to do it.
They got goodie bags in there, man. I understand it, but it is a dangerous place to be. You're now... 1.5 minutes has been worn off of the clock, and they're behind on ultimates. Uprising have a veritable bevy of choices right here.
Veritable bevy. Nice vocabulary.
Exactly. I did the IB program in high school. Does it? Can you tell?
The only time I think that's ever come in handy for anybody. Anyway, Uprising Academy now with 3 ultimates, but Mayhem have the support ultimate. Sometimes that's all you need to really take. Oh, with that Earth Shatter though, Fusion's knocking a bunch on the ground. Manitin will be demech. But what I was saying earlier is when you have those 2 support ultimates, that's sometimes all you need to get rid of 4 on the other side if those are used well.
Exactly. Those support ultimates are so good for nullifying many of the CC ults from these tanks. You got to remember, it's not just dropping a good grab, but getting your team to follow through with that damage. That's crucial. But Mayhem, once again, it's not going to be good for the soul, even if it's all right for the time bank. They still have at least 2 more pushes here. Fact Fiction, they got to, the communication has to be there. Big shatter.
Swimmer and Diner are on the ground. The Transcendence is going to save everybody, though. Crackalacken has self-destruct into the back line. It explodes and nothing's going to happen. Manitin now trying to assert his dominance, get back on the point, but he is pushed back along with Fact Fiction, who has that Discord Orb. The Discord Orb is no longer on him, so he's going to have an opportunity to get back on it too at the point. Particle Bearer getting the Discord Orb off again, and some good work from Apply, asking out of that fight. Epps now getting the kill, so this is a 5v4 for Mayhem Academy on at this point. They have taken about 3 minutes off of the clock, Uprising has, and so this is exactly what they wanted. Mayhem Academy has to invest into this. That is best case scenario for Uprising Academy going into point 2, but Mayhem Academy will have the advantage snowballing into the second point.
You're always going to feel good coming up on top of these fights, but Uprising, they were able to hold on to many of their tools as well. They weren't able to draw out as many ults as they may have hoped for in that, knockout, drag out fight on point A. If they could have forced Shaxx to drop that rally early, take some of that armor off, or even, apply or force Manitin to self-destruct, that would have been the best case scenario. But as it is, they're coming up on a rally themselves, and well, at least have Asking's Graviton Surge to answer.
Fusions also has the Earth Shatter, and that is a tempo taker and creator. Some good tracking from Asking, getting rid of Paintbrush, almost painting in the sky.
Yeah, he was painting his own funeral portrait, as it were, really pushing his luck there, skating on the wall. You don't want to test Asking. I hear his tracking is excellent, so that's going to be yet more time shaved off the clock, and Mayhem Academy find themselves equal to the time that Uprising had on their push.
And so couldn't get any closer than this. 4 ultimates for Mayhem Academy. Fact Fiction will have that Earth Shatter, self-destruct, gonna miss the hallway, so that will be wasted. Crackalacken's gonna take advantage of Manitin not being in that mech, and so now Mayhem will have to cede this space and reset.
Yeah, that is a painful reset. You know you're going to have one last shot to put a toe on that point, and coming up against 5, nearly 6 ultimates from the defense, it's a very difficult place to be. If you can force that Transcendence out a little bit earlier, try and take Dino down low like you have so many times before, that's going to be the best case scenario for Mayhem, but as it is an uphill battle.
Well, Mayhem doesn't have everything, but they have what they need to potentially take at this point, especially if they outplay. Oh, hello! Oh, that feels good. Swimmer getting the boop kills. The Graviton Surge isn't going to do anything because Uprising Academy are going to take this off of one of my favorite boop kills that I've seen so far in Contenders. Man, that felt good. Yeah,
I am still catching flies.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that was insane.
Game-changing.
I mean, they won. So now now the Uprising are pulling ahead 2-1 over Mayhem Academy, but we've seen some crazy boops in our time. Boop. But I don't know, on the boop scale, on the Boopasaurus Rex scale, where does that sit?
I'd probably put that at like a, 6.5 out of 8.
Okay, yeah. Out of 8, I get, there's like the slightly diminished scale for.
There's one in South America recently out of Spawn. It was popular on Reddit. It was a triple. I think it was a triple boop, and just because of the
numbers. Was it off of Rialto?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay, right.
But when it comes to numbers, right, 3 is bigger than 2.5, which is what we saw here. And so the Graviton Surge was out because you needed to use it. 2 seconds left. Mayhem tried. Remember, they had what they needed, but they were not expecting some music pushing them into the environment.
Yeah, that is the power of sound, my friend.
It's the universal language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's music. And but I think in such a spectacular fashion, I would give that absolutely a 6.5 on the 7 scale from HamTornado. Yeah, it's but yeah, what a way to close things out Mayhem Academy, unfortunately, had tons of time, tons of tools, nearly 4 times the amount that Uprising headed into this battle with, and came out with a lot less.
Well, someone that's really, really helping their cause is Crackalacken right now. So we talked about Maniton coming out of halftime as he was very impressive on map 2 Hollywood, but Crackalacken coming up strong here, especially with the self-destruct.
Oh, that's just crazy. And actually,
the shield was up.
The shield was up. It was a charge from Fusions to take away all of that Brig shielding after he had done posturing with Fact Fiction, and then he's like, see ya, and then he's like, oh, where are you going? Oh, no, just charging a Brig. Oh, cool. I do that all the time. Yeah, but it's your Brig.
What do you call that? Is that the posturing dance?
This is the Reinhardt dance.
Man,
yeah.
That looks so cool.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. Hi, kids.
So Fusion's also popping off right here on Uprising Academy. This has been back and forth, but with shatters like these, it's going to be in their favor most often.
Fact Fiction has had some beautiful shatters, in particular the one on Hollywood to seal the deal on that 3rd point really springs to mind, but it does seem that Fusions does have a little bit of the hotter hand. When he sees those opportunities, he's potentially a little less hesitant to take them. For example, on that Hanamura A push that we just saw, Fact Fiction scooted into that hallway super quick, but in that millisecond that the backline was exposed, Fusion was like, I'm going for it, man. I'm shattering. I'm pressing Q right now.
Well, sometimes, if you keep looking for a play, you'll never find one. You just gotta make it yourself,
feel it.
right?
You gotta feel it.
You gotta make it from scratch and then use that shatter and win the game for your team. Again, with Goats, that's normally not how that happens. There's a lot of enabling, but playmaking does happen.
And Fusion certainly helping put his team on his back there on Assault. But Route 66 could be a different story. It is Deadlock Gorge, just so you don't forget the famous gang. We're not going to be seeing too much hit scan in all likelihood on Route 66. Probably a little bit more goats, but it's because of all the shrubbery. The goats are really the only things that can survive on the...
Goats can eat anything.
Right?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They're actually very fascinating creatures, and it's always made me, I've always been trying to work in the fact that a baby goat's called a kid. But I haven't been able to do it just
Kids
yet.
are crazy. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, kids are crazy. So we could call it the kid comp, technically, right? If we want to try some other things. But Mayhem Academy on this attack, running that Goats comp Uprising, we'll be seeing the same thing on the defensive side, and this is a must-win scenario for Mayhem Academy.
Yeah, if Uprising take this, they seal the deal with the entire series, and they actually swapped places. Mayhem taking the long route all through the high ground. Fact Fiction getting taken low right here. A good fire strike might finish him off. He does get topped off, and right now, once again, is a little bit of this stalemate.
Yeah, got aggressive on the payload, but the person drawing first blood is asking for it. On to Shax, 2 kills for Uprising Academy, and it looks like they've really calmed down since this first map. They've looked really clean so far after that weird Hollywood, first push where they didn't really do anything for a minute. That hasn't been the case so far ever since then.
No, even this passivity, you may call it, seems calculated.
Yes.
Right? They're waiting for a mispositioning from Mayhem Academy. Might have been when Maniton finally gave up that high ground to Crackalack and didn't want to play that duel anymore. But it still does mean that there's a little bit of free push as we round the corner here to Big Earls. Uprising going to be staging around this corner. It's much more common.
Oh, Earth Shatter, the Transcendence does happen in time, but the pin kill on 2 Shax means no Brigitte for you, but no tanks for you. Uprising Academy as the self-destruct is going to be effective, super effective, some might say, as Mayhem Academy are going to make it to Big Earls, but Uprising will be back with a lot in their back pocket.
Maniton uses self-destruct. It's super effective. Gets rid of 2 players, and that is, we keep talking about that Reinhardt positioning. Fusion's got a beautiful pin kill, but unfortunately that opened up the entire backline. There was no way that he was going to save both himself and those 2 members of the defense, so they just had to eat it. But with that aggressive defense, that does mean that there's only 2 minutes left on the line, and Uprising is certainly going to have a full 6-man defense.
Fact Fiction getting juggled there. The CC was too strong for him, and Uprising going to invest Transcendence into this fight as well as a sound barrier. They did not need to do that as Mayhem's going back to spawn anyway. This actually puts them at an ultimate disadvantage.
Yeah, Paintbrush going to be keeping a hold of his sound barrier. Uprising blew both of them in one fell swoop. That was a stellar defense, but it does mean that they're going to be coming up on empty in terms of support ultimates for this next fight. 1 minute, 30 seconds left for Mayhem to get something done here. It would be a big feels bad if they get full held on Big Earls. That makes that their makes keeping themselves alive in this series much more difficult.
So the only thing that can keep Uprising Academy alive during this Graviton Surge is if it's going to get eaten. The fight will be using. There are no support ultimates to keep Uprising alive here, and that's why Asking is going to go down 6v5. That actually could have been way bigger for them, but it doesn't seem to matter here in the end. As Mayhem Academy continuing winning this fight, they will be taking this point, and we are going to see Streets phase.
Yeah, good play with the tools that they had on hand. They knew that Uprising committed too hard to that last defense, so they didn't have to be afraid of getting that grab nullified by a Transcendence or a Sound Barrier, so they just went for it, right? Sometimes just heading into those fights with confidence is all you need, and they should be feeling confident coming into Streets phase as well. You have that massive bomb. Manitin is so on point with those bomb positionings, and especially in Streets phase, you have a lot of tall architecture to try and kind of, hide that behind. Fact Fiction ready with that Earth Shatter as well.
So Uprising getting very aggressive here as the point opens for Streets phase. Self-destruct coming from Manitin, going to make people scurry away. Fusions is going to go down from Fact Fiction. Didn't know exactly where to go after that self-destruct. And Mayhem Academy now have that momentum they've been searching for ever since the beginning of this round. Actually, since the last round, Uprising Academy have been in control of the tempo, but no longer Mayhem Academy winning this fight.
Yeah, and Fact Fiction gets the pin kill onto Asking, and this time around, no silly spawn's gonna keep him from nabbing that kill. Fire Strike seals the deal, and he will have yet another Earth Shatter for this next fight. Apply ready with another grab as well, so the momentum certainly rolling forward for Mayhem right here. Uprising, though, they've worked up to their own Transcendence, so they're going to need it for this next fight as Mayhem look to hold very aggressively.
They didn't have that Transcendence for Apply's grab last time. That was eaten this time. Graviton Surge unavailable for Mayhem Academy. Fact Fiction going to use the Earth Shatter. Only Fusions will be knocked down. Good Transcendence to counter that. Now you're seeing the importance of those support ultimates. Transcendence now coming from Mayhem Academy. Paintbrush with that kill. Mayhem Academy used that Transcendence second, so that's going to be a little bit of an advantage, but it's the only advantage they're going to have for the rest of this fight, as Uprising Academy has ultimates at their disposal, and one of them is going to take Epps out. Sound Barrier now going to keep Uprising Academy very, very healthy. Klaus not going to get the shields, though, so he's going to have to be a little bit more conservative. Swimmer trying to heal everyone from the backline. Krakenlaka does it get deep. Mayhem Academy can be aggressive here because they have what they need to take this second point.
Uprising, that entire fight were just backing up on their heels, and eventually they tripped and fell. Fusions was taken so low. He was like 7 HP for half of that fight. There was no way for him to put his body on the line to provide that shielding, and with that, Mayhem rolling into point B, making it all look very easy. But as we come into this next fight, this is where things do get very tricky. That Reinhardt shield spans basically this entire corridor. Is going to be a lot harder to get any meaningful damage through. So this self-destruct combo could be huge, or just throw the naked bomb.
Hey, sometimes, you're looking for a thrill, right? You're just gonna throw a naked bomb in there, and it was all about doing it.
Even mechs want to skinny dip every once in a while. It's just about living life on the edge.
Uprising Academy has a Graviton Surge of their own. It's gonna be the only thing they've got for a little while longer, is Dino getting close to that Transcendence, because he needs to get that Transcendence before Apply throws out this next grab.
That is the crucial back and forth, that cat and mouse game that teams play these days. Mirror Goats. Shaq's gonna apply some of that rally armor as well. Uprising gonna have to cede a bit of space as they wait for theirs.
Oh, the Graviton Surge comes out right before the Transcendence gets there, so it's going to be late. You're going to see him pop that on a cooldown, but two members of Uprising Academy had already gone back to spawn, so this is 6v4 for Mayhem Academy on the objective. But Uprising Academy here at the very end, 4 ultimates. Dino actually probably didn't need that Transcendence, was holding on to it, was really hyper-focused on using it, but now he's not going to have this next fight.
There have been a couple moments where Dino, I would say, should hold on to that trance for maybe a better fight. He pops it very often when his team is already down a couple of members, trying to, salvage something. But regardless of that trance usage, Uprising still have 4 ultimates to their name. Mayhem invested heavily in their last one, so now Klaus going to apply that healing pillow to his team with that rally armor.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for Mayhem Academy is Uprising is going to have an ultimate advantage for a little while longer, as the pin into the walls helping Uprising Academy out here. 3 kills for them, but now they don't have any ultimates of their own. Manitin has a self-destruct. Those have been very, very effective throughout this fight, throughout this map. throughout this match so far. And so that's got to be scary for them, but Uprising, they're getting close to the support ultimates.
Yeah, and they're getting close to the end of this round as well. Just 40 seconds left now. Dino, please do hold that Q until the very last second, because Apply is so incredibly close to that Graviton Surge. That's going to be the big difference maker for Mayhem Academy as they try to press forward.
Yeah, and that allows Swimmer to be a little bit more versatile on that sound barrier. Shaq's going to get Swimmer anyways. The sound barrier is not going to come. Dino will have to use that Transcendence, and it's not going to do much for them. It is the opposite of Dynamite. It is worse than that.
Dino mush?
I guess so. And now the payload is getting close to the very end. Uprising Academy have to use that sound barrier even to try to contest this. Fusions get very, very low, unable to touch the point. Round 1 complete. Mayhem Academy taking all 3 points.
We've seen this happen before, Boop. Hollywood was a very similar story for Mayhem, as, you know, a really good opening self-destruct from Manitin just forced Uprising to scramble, give up all of that positioning that they had been working on so hard to maintain. And this was the place where Dino popped that Transcendence. Would have been really good, you know, for holding for maybe a better fight. And but unfortunately for him, he did use it very well in that very last altercation, but Apply held on to that Graviton Surge. Mayhem, you know, reading the cards, reading the tea leaves really well, kind of figuring out that Uprising were, you know, running largely on fumes.
Well, talking about fumes, the ultimate usage on both sides has been a little suspect at times. They have had the right counters available, but we saw Uprising twice with an ultimate advantage lose those fights. If I remember on Streets phase, they had 4 ultimates, used all of them, and lost the fight.
Yeah, it's not just about the tools you have, but how you use them. It is not the size of the ultimate economy bank. The timing can really, really make a huge difference in how effective, especially those support ultimates are. We all know shatters that hit like 6 members of the team, but nobody's alive to, you know, kill anything.
6 people grabbed, same thing.
6 people grabbed, and then it's just like, hold hands, sing kumbaya. All right, you're done now. Mayhem, they're going to have to mount a good defense, though, as well. Both of the teams have had moments where they look incredibly aggressive, very confident. Uprising has struggled a bit more on these linear maps. They didn't have a good time on Hollywood, but there's no point capture this time around. You get right onto the payload, it starts moving here. Mayhem going with that aggressive hold. No, it just looks like it's going to be Manitin scouting a little bit as they face off.
Mayhem are very close to that payload, so they could be taken advantage of right now, but no, Swimmer's going to be taking one with the fishes. Going back to spawn 5 people for Uprising Academy. With the payload so close, it's good just to wait for Swimmer and try to get.
Yeah, Mayhem, they want to continue to hold up here. Of course, the difficulty with these kinds of close defenses is if somebody overstays their welcome just a little bit, you may very quickly find yourself in a 5v6 situation, but not likely as Fusions, Crackluck, and Askin all so low. Uprising needs to wait for that healing to come through before they can push forward.
Yeah, Mayhem Academy very healthy themselves, so they've been able to push a ton of damage into Uprising Academy with no consequences of their own. And now Crackluck is going to have to go back to spawn. They actually could have juggled that a little bit more and actually stopped focusing Crackluck down to lose whatever ult charge he had.
Yeah, it would have been maybe even better for Mayhem to force him onto Roadhog and then back onto D.Va. But the upside of this close hold is Dino will have that Transcendence first, and Uprising can use this support ultimate to finally push out of spawn.
Oh, Earthshatter is going to knock 2 down, but the trains are going to be there first. 4v5 right now. Mayhem Academy, they're not out of the woods, but they are right now. It's Crackluck and going back to spawn. And so Manitin has the self-destruct. We got some ults. Uprising having a harder time getting there.
I mean, it's really difficult when you are on the losing side of these fights time and time again. Want to point out this positioning from Manitin. D.Va doesn't do a ton of damage, but those tickle cannons will add up. He's been on this high ground for so long. Not only is he shooting down onto the unprotected heads of Uprising, but he can use those boosters in a second, get that boost damage to quickly burn down squishies.
Oh man, you see it every time the Graviton Surge comes out, and instinctively Dino is going to use that Transcendence, or any Zenyatta, really, because that's just how it works. That's what you practice. But Mayhem Academy take advantage of that, and Uprising going to put themselves in an ultimate disadvantage. Yeah,
once again, Uprising going to be clinging to some maybes in the ultimate department here as they try and push around the corner on Big Earl. Still about 1:50 left on the clock, so not too bad. Mayhem going to be ceding some of that space, but Uprising do need to start finding a bit of that consistency.
They held up so close and took so much time away. While a minute and a half is not terrible, they could be better off right now. Mayhem Academy doing very, very well up close at spawn. Uprising Academy now have those 4 ults, and they're going to use one on the bottom of Big Earls. It was fancy, but not very effective. Self-destruct, not going to get anything either. Fusions has that ally particle barrier, so he's going to be a little bit naked for the time being, but it don't matter when everyone's taking a nap, as the Earthshatter will knock down 3, and Uprising Academy finally getting some momentum on their side.
Yeah, Mayhem tried to go for that rotation up on top of Big Earls, and it actually did work really well, but asking one up them, grabbing the bottom of the gas station. They were only able to catch Paintbrush. The self-destruct didn't catch anything, but regardless, it screwed up Mayhem's positioning to the point where Uprising were finally able to isolate some of the individual members of that Deathball and take them down.
So they're going to get a little bit more time at this checkpoint, 3 minutes and 16 seconds to try to wrap this up. Remember, Mayhem Academy need to win this to force a Game 5, and we keep calling this a must-win game because it is. Both teams at 0-2 right now. If they want any chance at the playoffs, they really want to win this game. Fusions is going to use that shield dash. Earthshatter will get 2. Transcendence is there, though, and the pin onto the Zenyatta is perfect for that team. No damage done. Uprising Academy still functioning with the 6, but for not much longer, as Mansion going to get the kill onto Asking, using that ally barrier and the self barrier very, very early on in that fight, so the cooldown management killing them in the end.
Yeah, Uprising unfortunately caught in a very sticky situation, and Crackalacken even more so. He's ages miles away from the nearest cliff. See poor little baby Diva launching herself off into the canyon. You hate to see it, but you have to. Crackalacken does not want to give up that ultimate charge. As Uprising, they have about 2 minutes, 20 seconds. It's not a ton of time. Streets phase here on Route 66 is very, very long. It is very difficult to find that point B, and Apply looking to make it even more difficult with a cheeky grab.
there. So, you know, the harder you squat, the quieter you are. Graviton Surge gonna be enough as Mayhem Academy getting the first 3 kills of this fight. But when you do a cheeky play like that, most of the time, your opponent's team not going to be investing much.
Oh no, it happened too quickly for Uprising to really commit anything. They didn't have a chance to throw into the fight that time around. Dino, though, coming very close to it, will actually be beating Eps. Mayhem may have showed their hand just a little bit too early, as Asking will have his own grab and no chance to answer from the side of Mayhem.
Yeah, they can't be as obnoxious as they have been in the past. Self-destruct is out from Uprising Academy. Sound barrier as well. Fusion's getting this first kill, opening it up for them on the payload, but no Reinhardt's on either side, so this is even, but Sound Barrier now on Mayhem Academy. Use that second. Transcendence is coming out from Uprising as well. Eps will have his here at the end, and that's going to give them this fight. Uprising Academy are going to have to push back, cede that space, knowing that Mayhem Academy have the resources to take them.
Yeah, but it actually looks like Mayhem's going to be staging for a little bit better fight. They did lose Fact Fiction in that last engagement. Walls and Signs, Reinhardt's worst enemy here. And Uprising going to be gifted a little bit more free space.
The Earthshatter goes down. 2 people are on the ground, but not a lot of kills to show for it. And now the Reinhardts are going to have to back off. Fact Fiction with that Discord Orb taken very low, but the Transcendence will be saving him. Self-destruct into the backline from Manitin. Not going to get anything, so these self-destructs haven't been very valuable. Shax is on the ground, but you're seeing him right here, right now, survive, and they had to push a lot of damage in to make this work. But in the end, it doesn't matter how you do it if you take the point.
Yeah, that is the all-important thing here. Uprising must finish out this map as well to try and seal the deal here on Route 66. They are 1 map win away from it all. Dino ready with this Transcendence, gonna nullify any damage Mayhem throw their way. They may well just give this up. No, the whole team jumping on.
So they're gonna drop down onto the low ground. That self-destruct looked good, but it's not gonna be good enough as Crackalack is gonna get back into that mech, but with 2 kills coming from Uprising Academy, the end of this point looks like they will own it. Mayhem Academy now just gonna be forcing overtime, but it's gonna be tough for him to get this 3rd point.
Yeah, Uprising with very little time to their name. They're looking better in the ultimate department. Mayhem right now don't have any online, though Apply's Graviton Surge will be right there. Check mark ding, check that one. But Uprising, they have that Transcendence and the Sound Barrier, but it's going to be about cycling these ultimates. They cannot lose any momentum on this long stretch towards 3rd. The spawns are going to be too far away for them to make good use of their aggression.
They do have a small advantage here. They're going to use the Sound Barrier and then the Earthshatter getting 3 on the ground. They have to get some kills, and they do. It's a 65 for Uprising Academy. The Transcendent Sight from both sides have now been launched. Paintbrush will have a sound barrier very soon. Are you going to use it to try to save this payload, or are you going to wait until spawn? It looks like they're going to wait until they get back to spawn. It's Uprising Academy coming out on top of this fight.
Yeah, Uprising had to win that. Use both support ultimates. It does not matter. Fusion's going to be rejoining the team right there. Asking actually taken very far away by Fact Fiction. Mayhem, they have tools again online, but they're probably going to have just one more shot for the full 6 defense here. Asking ready with that Graviton Surge. Crack-lacking, getting back in mech just in the nick of time.
Graviton Surge off to the right side, getting 2 sound barriers, going to help everyone out on Mayhem Academy. The damage was pushed through on Fact Fiction, and that's why he's going down. But Zarya's are going to take 1 each, but the Uprising Academy going to take a little bit more, as we are going to enter overtime for Uprising Academy. They're getting very, very close to capturing this last point. They just have to clean things up, and with these overtime spawns, it's going to be very hard for Mayhem to touch this payload.
Oh, one Reinhardt. Fact Fiction getting booped back, but actually buys enough time for his team to come back. Epps is on this Bastion now. This was unexpected. He could totally throw a wrench into the plans of Uprising, but no, he does go down at the hands of Asking.
The only time Bastion is effective is as a surprise, and while it was a surprise, it was the lamest surprise party for them, as it was over in just a second. They do end up finishing this map in overtime. We're going to go to extra innings on this one, too.
Yeah, 5 seconds in the bank for Mayhem, so largely going to be even as we head into round 3, but looking at Dino right here, just pumping out that damage. This is where you want to live as a Zenyatta. Far away from any of the enemy team's eyeballs, just everybody's paying attention at something other than you.
Well, and that is a dream come true for a Zenyatta player. I remember back in the Tracer days, you were just eating over and over
so bad.
and over. But every once in a while, you'll get that Zenyatta win that 1v1, and I feel like you're always rooting for Zenyatta.
Oh yeah, and then Jonak showed up, and then it just became the norm. Like, you have to be able to 1v1 Tracers. Isn't that like just...
That's what you call elevating an entire field of Zenyatas, right? And that's the power of Jonak.
Jonak, exactly. And Miro did it for Winston way back in the day.
I'll never forget. I was there for that 2016 World Cup against the USA. That was some good Winston on Eichenwald. But anyway, those are classics. We're here in the present. Uprising Academy up 2-1 here. They want to wrap this thing up on Route 66, but Mayhem Academy trying to get to control one more time, or King of the Hill. Mayhem Academy trying to force a game 5. Uprising Academy now on the attack as they finish with 5 seconds left. 5 seconds less than Mayhem Academy.
Yeah, so momentum is going to be everything right here. Uprising, it's a little bit more free-form for them. It's just, how far can we take it, man? The payload, there is no stopping point. As long as they can keep that overtime going, they're still doing very well, accruing that distance. But any early loss is going to be crucial, just like your Reinhardt swimmer coming up big once again.
But that doesn't matter, since Asking is down for Uprising Academy on their side. So even though there was no Reinhardt, but the Reinhardt on both sides going down early means, hey, this is actually even. Mayhem Academy identifies that, and they do take the win. They held up so close, the payload hasn't made any progress.
This is actually really bad. Apply was able to stagger out Dino as well. He was trying so hard to get up to that Transcendence, but he exchanged his life, and I don't know if it's going to be worth it with just 10 seconds left.
They're going to have to make it worth it. They don't have a choice. Uprising Academy need to get on this payload. They need to force overtime, and they need to force Mayhem Academy back to their spawn, or this is going to a game 5 potentially. Apply has that particle barrier on himself, but with Fusions going down and that self-destruct, taking some names, or really asking for him, Uprising Academy are going to be down 3 members. Mayhem Academy now looking very, very good here onto the payload. Uprising Academy are going to have to hold up close to spawn if they want to win this thing.
There is no choice. You are going to be squatting in some train cars. There is only 10 meters to give. Beautiful boop right there from Swimmer, but it was Paintbrush's team, his entire side, winning things out in the end. Uprising, they got to double digits in terms of distance, but it is not very far when you are talking about Route 66. 10 meters, man.
We can round up.
Yeah,
we can say
11.
It's 11.
We'll give them the double ones.
Yep, and so Mayhem Academy need to beat 10.88 meters. That metric system, it's better. Uprising Academy on that defense needs to be stalwart. They need to put, they don't even need to make a temporary campsite. They need to put things in the ground.
Start pouring
and lock
foundation,
them down.
man.
Yeah. Concrete is involved in whatever this is.
A lot of rocks, a lot of conglomerate.
Conglomerate rocks, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's
That's what concrete's made of, man.
Oh, really?
Cement is the is like the liquid adhesive part, and then concrete is where you add the rocks in. Yeah. Anyways, nobody cares about geometry because we're all about blowing things up, or geology. Some people do care about geometry in Overwatch. I'm doing Hanzo a big disservice right now. Sorry, Hanzo. I love you. Would really love for you to come back. You know, just show up a little bit. You know, just for the kids' birthday parties. But Uprising, though, gonna be asking for a miracle hold right here. It's gonna be very difficult, but they do have Crackalackton posted up at the very top of that train car.
And the Divas are going to be fighting each other just for a second longer. Crackalackton not as close to Manitin, but hey, we're so close to this green box of victory. There's no choice but for Uprising Academy to hold up here, and any space they cede is a disadvantage for them in this overall fight. Shax will get stunned, so there's going to be no shield bash available for Uprising Academy. And with Apply getting that kill onto Fusions, the attack for Mayhem Academy looking very close to that 10.889 meters, and they just have to finish things off. Apply putting the team on his back so far. Apply has really showed up here on Route 66, and hopefully he might show up here on a Game 5, assuming that Mayhem Academy are going to finish this out.
Oh no, that early pick onto Fusions was the nail in the coffin for Uprising here on Route 66, and we are going to a map 5, folks. The distance, Mayhem Academy pulling out a win at the very last second, again though on a linear map with the escort portion.
But we are going to be back on control. We are in Game 5 again. This couldn't be closer. These two teams have to win, or else they're going to have to depend on other teams to get them into the playoffs. The winner here is going to get their first victory, but you know, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But when you look at these standings, the 4th place team, which will be going into playoffs and avoiding relegation, is going to be potentially a 2 or 3 win team.
Yeah, there are not a whole lot of wins to be going around right now. Kangarna currently sits in that spot, but Mayhem and Uprising now, of course, do have the chance to change that for themselves. One team is going to be going up in either case.
And so whoever wins this will be occupying that coveted 4th place spot. And the reason why we say they need to be in control of their own destiny is if they win 3 games, they're most likely into those playoffs. But if not, they're going to need help from some other teams. We'll go over those endgame scenarios after this Game 5 between Uprising Academy and Mayhem Academy. And there's been a lot on both sides getting us here to this Game 5.
Yeah, the Mayhem right here, Uprising, you saw that they were trying to hold them off, but even though they were making work of the front line, Manitin on that D.Va stayed behind the rest of Uprising. So as a Reinhardt, Fusions, he was the first one to go down and kind of was the death knell for that defense. But as a Reinhardt, you're really stuck in a lose-lose situation. If you drop the shield and turn around for this D.Va, well then, you know, Facfiction is going to be making mincemeat of your own backline. But even if you're holding up that shield, trying to protect the front part of your defense, there's Manitin up there. And again, we talked about it, those tickle cannons don't do a ton of damage, but over time it really adds up.
Damage over time, that's a really underrated concept here in Overwatch. You know, I think it's easy to see those Widow headshots. It's really easy to see those Doomfist wall kills, but you know, that slow damage over time is the reason why those kills can take place.
And you're gobbling up, you know, projectiles that really can make a huge
Buttering
difference.
them up, as I like to say. Just slather that butter like it's a roll, you know, get it all on there, and when it's ready to eat, you just take it all at once.
Yeah, the Boopasaurus cookbook. But this map 5, it really could be anyone's game. Mayhem did lose that map type earlier in this series, so there is a slight advantage for Uprising coming into it, but the reason that they won it was off of some very disciplined tank play and some great ultimate combos, and we got to start seeing that as well. It didn't just happen, you know, out of thin air, out of magic. As we head on to Nepal, it was, you know, just very, very consistent play, which we haven't seen as much from Uprising as the series has worn on. You're getting fatigued, right? You're getting a little bit tired.
Well, they alternated map wins, right? So this maybe it's just map type at this point, right? Everyone has practiced these maps, you know, a certain amount of times. Maybe it's going to be a little different per each, but when I see alternating map types like this and alternating map wins, it tells me that this thing is even, and Game 5 can go anywhere.
Yeah, Uprising just really like stationary objectives. You're like not going anywhere. I know where you are. Yeah. But this really, I mean, could favor either side. It's a Control is that very brawly map type, right? It's kind of the great equalizer among all of them. You have a symmetrical map. The spawns are equidistant from each other. There's no real inherent advantage to that map geometry. So all it is cap that point first and then just focus on killing.
It is the ultimate decider, right? You can't be more fair on that. I think those spawns are a good reason. But now that we're going on Nepal, we've seen a lot of boops coming from Swimmer so far. Maybe we're going to see it more. I do love me some Sanctum. As EP says, I like gold. Mondada's gold is definitely, for sure, on the bottom of the Sanctum pit.
Absolutely. That has to be...
It is canon
gold,
at this point.
Yeah, gold, but caked in bodies.
It's like those Star Wars books that, like, were written, or, World of Warcraft books, too, as well. They were
books
like
are often written.
Well, you know what I mean, that they weren't movies, they weren't games. They're expanded universe, right? And so I think, like, ZP and Mondada's gold is like that.
It's like
become
it's a
part of
lore now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I believe it too. Those monks got to be guarding something. You have secrets.
They wouldn't be there for no reason.
Maybe that's where all the enlightenment comes from.
And we're all here to watch some Overwatch in a game 5 on Nepal. This is so exciting. I love Nepal so much because the playmaking potential, we might see some different team comps, but we've talked about the first fight advantage a lot. Nepal is notorious for this first fight advantage, particularly on Village.
Yeah.
So on Village, I think the statistic is there's an article out there. They analyzed
like 70%.
They analyzed all of the Nepal games, and the team that won the first fight on Village won the round 70. Or it was actually over that, I think, over 70% of the time. And so, look at this. We're on Village.
Aw. Yeah. Look at that. That statistic going to bear true for one of these teams coming forward. It's just that inevitability.
Yep.
To bring things back here. And Village is also one of those points that lends itself to a lot of flexibility. We see, Pharah is coming out, tons of Mei at this point. Mei has become lore on this point by now. And Manitin is showing that hero, at least early on in spawn, can be so good for stalling things out. If you're able to capture that point first, it buys you so much more time and can just be so frustrating to play around, especially for divas. You can't Matrix that endothermic blaster. The wall is going to be a pain in the booty for your Reinhardt, and it's just so difficult to work around.
And so Manitin will be exiting spawn on that Mei, and it's been fun to see these off-tank, flex-tank players on the Mei functioning as the off-tank. The cryostasis is very, very strong. See who will be walled off. Absolutely nobody, but it's going to give Mayhem Academy some time to set up on the point right now. But Manitin is going to need to get to that Blizzard. The shield dash is out. Asking is going to get the first kill for Uprising Academy, and there are going to be 2 more for Uprising Academy. Manitin not doing anything on this Mei so far, though. The walls are so important. If you don't use them, you're not going to have that utility that Mei brings.
A wall to Mei is like a charge for a Reinhardt. It's a very, very precious ability that can make or break a fight for your team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Manitin not able to get anything going with that Mei, and so Uprising able to roll onto the point. I do like the fact he's back on this diva. Otherwise, every single fight engagement, they're going to have to eat a grab from Asking.
Yeah, Mayhem Academy sprinting onto this fight right now, but Uprising Academy saw it coming. They knew what to do, getting 3 kills early on, and so now they're just going to take this down to the end. Uprising Academy going to push Mayhem Academy off. They will reset.
Yeah, and that crucial first capture did go the way of Uprising, so now they're staging on the high ground, ready to catch Mayhem if they go through that small hallway or through main. Either way, they're going to be able to see it coming from afar, and Manitin's forced to swap onto the Roadhog, give up all of that Diva self-destruct charge, which is another great stalling tactic, another great ultimate to clear that point, that objective.
So they're going to see each other again, and I like that Uprising is being a little aggressive, not allowing them to take space very easily. The Earthshatter is down, so it's combined with that shield bash, but Asking is going to be the only casualty of that ultimate combo. Manitin is going to get that first kill. Crackalack's back on the point. Fusion's going down, but they're already at 65%. If they're able to stall this to about 80%, right now they can just throw bodies onto the point. It's all about those percentage points.
70% now going the way of Uprising before they give it up to Mayhem. No, Crackalack second. This is just the diva passive. It's to get staggered.
I like that the Discord orb was on her too, so like it was
like,
like
we're
just
watching
in,
you.
Just
We're
in
watching
case we know exactly where you are. In the end, Crackalack and no miracles. Gonna go back to spawn.
Unfortunate, but Uprising have plenty of tools coming back into this. Mayhem miles away from that Transcendence, a little bit closer to that sound barrier. Klaus ready with that rally armor to buy Uprising some more time, some more of that buffer so that Aski can drop a perfect grab, but no, Apply does it first.
And so the grab is going to get 4 members of Uprising Academy. Sound barrier going to keep them all alive. Fusions also has that Earth Shatter, but he's on the ground. It's all of them, all of Uprising Academy taking a nap right now. Mayhem Academy finally take that kill. I don't even think they realized that it was everybody. They're like, oh my god, that was everyone.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, do we have to watch out for a diva self-destruct? No, it was literally every member of Uprising frozen in time.
Beautiful.
Like the world's worst flash mob. And Mayhem just clean their plates right there off of the back of just a couple of ultimates. They're still going to be able to hold on to 2 coming into this next fight.
And so the next fight is happening right here and right now. Uprising Academy Fusions has that Earth Shatter. There is no Earth Shatter on the other side, so we're going to look at Klaus trying to shield bash the Reinhardt to open up that Earth Shatter potential. The shield bash was there, and he was around the corner, so the Earth Shatter wasn't there to follow up. Transcendence coming from Mayhem Academy and Uprising Academy. No support ults on either side. Earth Shatter coming from Fact or Fiction first, and then Fusions. Nothing to it on either side. Graviton Surge now coming from Mayhem Academy, and they're going to make Uprising Academy a certain statistic. Mayhem Academy did lose this first fight, and they're looking like they might win this round.
Yeah, and no Dino getting staggered out right here. There's no way they're going to let this Zenyatta live, and Uprising, this is going to be their last shot. 7 seconds left. Somebody needs to touch this point. It is going to be a staggered push.
Are they going to even make it to the point? The rally is not going to speed them up enough, but yes, Diva made it onto the point. Self-destruct is there. Overtime Wake has... Oh my goodness, but Fact and Fiction going down. Things can be shaping up good for Uprising Academy, but with Klaus also going back to spawn, it's going to be looking a little bit worse. Mayhem Academy in control of this fight right now, particularly since there is no Reinhardt available for Uprising Academy. That stagger onto Dino at 92% might win this Nepal game for them.
Yeah, that was crazy. Mayhem going up with that round win. Check out this Graviton Surge. There was an Earth Shatter to follow right here. I have to see if it was off of the back of a shield bash, and it doesn't look like it.
That's
not
just
sure.
good
Either way,
old-fashioned
that's
Overwatch
yeah,
right
good
there.
old-fashioned Overwatch. Potentially Fusions wasn't expecting that shatter to come through from Fact Fiction. Maybe he didn't know if it was up. Either way, Shax was very close. We can like split the credit 50-50. Regardless, the effect is we're now moving on to Sanctum, where we don't see goats quite as often. We see a lot more of Larissa even today. Some Winston, and there's Fusions showing here in Spawn. But Mayhem, they have to be feeling very confident.
Yeah, Winston very good on this map. Some good geometry to help with the bubble, that takes up a lot of space, and it's going to help with that Discord orb as well as it breaks line of sight.
Yeah, but more importantly is going to be that mobility on the point. A lot of times your best place to stage is not going to be on the objective itself. Mayhem right now actually just playing a very patient game, waiting for the control point to unlock before they drop down potentially through that small room and push all of Uprising off into that pit, searching for Mondada's gold.
Uprising not ready for this. Well, actually, they've taken up some really good positions on the corners, so they actually were more than ready for it. The crossfire has been set. The Diva, Crackalack, and just getting the ult charge right now. They haven't been able to focus that down. They're going to give Mayhem Academy the point. So, hey, depends on who you're asking. Were they ready for it with this kill? Looks like they were. I think spreading out is exactly what Mayhem Academy didn't expect them to do, so they didn't know how to respond to it in the end. Uprising Academy, though, will have the man advantage on the point. With Fact Fiction going down, everything else will fall. Uprising Academy did give up about 20%. In the end, though, they will be in control of this point.
Yeah, that is what's going to matter since this is just the first opening fight. 22% for a potential 99% to Uprising's name. Really did like that patience. They were waiting for Mayhem to come to them. They were able to isolate Manitin, demech him immediately, and then with that man advantage, stream onto the point. Fusion's really making usage of that Tesla cannon in that small confined corridor. I mean, you can't matrix the electricity, so with all of that cleave, he's earned himself Primal Rage to help Uprising get even more percentage.
Everyone tries to still, no matter what, though, right? Just in case the game has changed and you didn't know about it. Uprising Academy with that that Primal Rage is such a good ultimate, particularly on this round on Sanctum. You're seeing all of that dead space there. That's some fisticuff love that might happen once that Primal Rage does pop off. Fact Fiction switching to that Winston as well. Some good positioning for that Primal Rage, and we're exactly seeing why. Apply going down into the pit, gonna find some gold. Ep's gonna find some gold as well. Paintbrush gonna be going down to 2, and so all of those boop kills, all of those environmental kills will feed ultimates to Uprising Academy, and they're going to be in charge here on the point, but Mayhem looking good as well.
I mean, it's sending a statement, Boop, right there. Able to hold off of a single Primal Rage. Fusion's really working that positioning beautifully. There's no counterplay to a well-placed Boop. So Mayhem, they're going to be taking the long rotation and engage on this point once again.
The Graviton Surge now coming from Uprising Academy. Fusions goes down very early in the fight, but the self-destruct is going to get the Winston on the other side, so everyone functioning with the same people. Mayhem Academy now down a member with Shax dying early. This can happen very frequently for Mayhem Academy. When Shax's not dying early, they're winning the game, but when he is, things are a little different.
Yeah, I mean, not just the fact that you're down a man, but losing somebody as vital as a Brigitte, really good at those close range brawls. Brigitte is one of those melee fighters, so if you're actually on the objective yourself, you want your Brigitte to have your back here. Unfortunately, though, for Uprising, they did expend almost everything. Swimmer will have that sound barrier to Mayhem's 4 ults.
Uprising Academy are at 99%. This might be going to a round 3, but Epps is going to burst down Fusions. A lot of focus fire onto him. 6v5 now for Mayhem Academy, and a lot of... Crackalacken does get back up. No environmental kills just yet, but the Boops are going to be alive. Uprising Academy do lose their Diva mech, and they will lose Crackalacken very soon. Cloud's very close to that rally as well. Sound barrier going to get everybody except Fusions, as he is not back on the point just yet. No Divas on either side now. Manitin actually just out of that mech. He's actually going to be able to get back into it. Mayhem Academy looks good. They're going to win this fight. They flip the point.
Yeah, curious usage of the sound barrier by Swimmer. I thought that Uprising might be just letting Mayhem get it while trying to pull out as many ultimates as they could here. But Swimmer maybe thought he saw an opportunity, but Mayhem will continue to hold on to that point. But that's right. Yeah, I see you holding up a finger, Boop. What is it?
Asking through that graph in the end, you know, some people might say that that was a bad idea, but it took both Mayhem and support ultimates away. So
well
now that,
worth.
Yeah, very, very worth. And so Uprising also has those 3 ultimates. Klaus is going to use that rally. Fact Fiction has the Harmony Orb, but will it be enough? Crackalacken has the Discord Orb on that Diva mech, so there's going to be some extra damage going on to Crackalacken. Not really melting so far, but Shax is going to be dying first. We said it earlier, when Shax dies first, Mayhem Academy loses the fight. And we're going to see that right here. 3 kills now for Uprising Academy. Primal Rage going to knock some people down. Mayhem Academy do use that Graviton Surge in the end, but it will not be enough. The overtime leg will end eventually. It will end right. Gotcha baited just a second. Shax is going to be on that Hammond. Once they do clean this up, the Uprising Academy will be pushing this to a 3rd and final round. Mayhem Academy, like we said it earlier, Shax dies first, the rest of the team goes.
You gotta smack that Shax, get rid of that Hammond very quickly. Uprising looking so much more comfortable here on Sanctum. And again, we're gonna take a look at Fusions with those Primal Rages, not just able to knock everybody off of those points. Gets the Zarya, I believe. Yeah, oh no, Fly nearly was able to save himself, landing on that ledge. Not only was he able to body people off the point, but actually in that very last fight, he was isolating the Zarya away. Apply wasn't anywhere close to his team to get that damage through. A giant hulking gorilla was taking up all of his, viewfinder. He wasn't anywhere near that fight, and even though he wasn't able to get that solo kill onto the Zarya, Fusions did tons to enable the rest of his team to find the damage on the objective.
Well, Asking took both support ultimates away from Mayhem Academy right before the end game there on Sanctum, but we're going the full distance. We are in round 3 of Game 5. Uprising Academy and Mayhem Academy both tied 2-2. This is it. This is going to be the last map of Overwatch we see today as they meet each other on the point. Point opens in 12 seconds. This is a race to those ultimates. Shax dies early once again, and we've said it time and time again, but this might be a little bit different since Fusions does go down. No Reinhardt, I think, is going to be a little bit worse than no Shax, but hey, looks like Mayhem Academy they like patterns. So Uprising Academy are going to take this in the end, but it's more than just a pattern.
Yeah, Mayhem was able to get a little consolation right there. D-Mech, Crackalacken force him to have to go back to respawn. They do save a little bit of time where they can now re-engage, but Uprising, you saw from Crackalacken's point of view, he was waiting to use those boosters, hunt down anybody who looked low health, try and finish off those kills quickly, and Shax again!
Man, that's about 3 or 4 fights in a row where Shaxx is going down early on. Uprising Academy knows what they do. Once Shaxx goes down, they can take advantage of everybody else. There is no shield bash. They can be way more aggressive.
Yeah, that just says to Klaus that you can go ham. Mace to everybody's face, and he will have the rally for this very next fight. Shaxx just at 28%. That really tells you how much Klaus has been contributing to the side of Uprising Academy. And they're ticking up now close to 50%. Mayhem need to flip this point soon.
But they don't have anything in their bank that I think Uprising Academy can't deal with. Swimmer will be very close to that sound barrier. Going to go ahead, Asking is going to go ahead and throw that Graviton. One Reinhardt is enough. Earthshatter going to get someone in the back line. It looks like it's going to be the Lucio, but Backfission will be going down. We've talked about the importance of Reinhardt in all of these GOATS comps. You don't got one, you don't got a comp.
Oh no, you really need that static shielding, and right now Mayhem Academy would like some shielding, some time as well. 68% for Uprising. Mayhem, even if they take it in this next fight, it is going to be an uphill battle. They have plenty of tools. Again, Apply, able to hold onto that Graviton Surge, Eps and Paintbrush, waiting patiently to use those ultimates. Uprising themselves will have those same, but again, it all comes down to that timing.
Self-destruct gonna land a little bit short for that to be any bit of effectiveness. Maniton, though, gonna get that self-destruct. That was some weird sentence structure there. I'm sorry, everybody. But 4 kills for Mayhem Academy, though. They're gonna flip this point, but they're not gonna do it until there's gonna be 99% on this objective for Uprising Academy.
Yeah, Crackalakin accepting his fate. If you want to give it up, it's at 99% is your best bet. Mayhem, they will breathe a sigh of relief. They need to defend every future incoming push from Uprising until they are able to seal up that 100%. But we've seen crazier things, Boop. We have seen crazier things, and they have the rally and sound barrier and transcendence. So many tools, so many defenses for Mayhem.
Earthshatter. Faction did get shield back. The Earthshatter's going to go on the other side. The pin's not going to do much as the particle barrier was there, but that means it's not going to be there for much longer. Shaxx this time switching it around, getting the first kill of this fight onto Klaus, and again, we're seeing the importance of that Brigitte. They saw Klaus go down, they throw themselves off the side.
Yeah, you know that there's no more possible CC from that Brigitte incoming to disrupt your day, take away one of your ultimates. Fusions tried his darndest right there. Faction as well. Swimmer even popped the sound barrier aggressively to push Uprising into that fight, but unfortunately they weren't able to get anything from it. And now they will have Asking's Graviton Surge online. Eps ready with the Transcendence to answer.
If they're able to pull it out of him before the Graviton Surge is thrown, that could be a win for Uprising Academy. Rally is down for Klaus, so the damage mitigation is there. Oh, the Graviton Surge not going to do anything. It's going to get eaten. Crackalakin, though, is going to get the kill onto Shaxx, and that must be scary for Mayhem Academy, as if Shaxx goes down early, so does the rest of the team. Faction getting taken very low, and they will confirm that kill. Uprising Academy really want to win this right here, right now, and get their first victory of the season, putting Mayhem Academy to 0-3, but we're not quite there yet, as Mayhem Academy still have some members that can contest this point. The Earthshatter will seal the deal for Uprising Academy. There's going to be some emergency stalls, though, from Mayhem Academy. Eps is going to be the only one that might be able to do it. No! Uprising Academy will take this in 5 games, 3-2, going on to get their first win.
Whew, finally, it's gonna feel so good, because we have to remember Uprising was here in the same position in week 1 against Fusion University. Of all teams, they were able to take it to a map 5, but unable to just push over that finish line. But against Mayhem Academy, they have secured their first win, and are that much closer to playoff speculation.
Man, this one was close. So, you know, earlier on today, now that we're on Endgame, I said, it feels like yesterday, Congarna has a big thing to do with this playoff picture. They did lose today. They are 0-3. Mayhem Academy 0-3. Uprising Academy 1-2. But you know who Uprising and Mayhem both face in the next 2 weeks? Congarna. So if Congarna are able to get some 4-0s against both of these teams, hey, a 2-win team could be making the playoffs. The Uprising Academy has a huge advantage over the other two now.
Oh yes, that is a major win right here. You're not worrying as much about, you know, how many maps you were able to squeak out of a series when you have that big one right next to your team name. That means you've secured that series, and off of some, you know, just really good clinical play, I would say. Once again, I just want to point out a micro moment. It all comes down to these micro moments with GOATs, but we saw Apply throw out that grav. Could have been sealed the deal for Mayhem, because they were on such a knife's edge, Boop. But What would have been really good to help manage and land that self-destruct would be a charge from Fact-Fiction. Unfortunately, he had used it earlier. He didn't have it. He was just swinging away with his hammer. And sometimes you're just in that place. You never quite, it's very difficult to know exactly where the best place to use your abilities will be. But in those cases, not quite sure what was going on. Maybe the comms weren't 100% clear. They didn't know they were trying to set up this bigger bang combination. But in that case, unfortunately, it did end up with the round going the way of Uprising and with it the entire series.
So someone that we pointed out at the beginning of this game was Fusions. You said you were really excited to see potentially him popping off, and once he pops this Primal Rage, he's going to knock some people off.
Yeah, oh no, those are some powerful forearms right there. Guy must be just like, what do you think he has on those, like, the little exercise things where you're squeezing it?
Like the guitar thing? There's also like a gyroscope thing that you can do. That's actually really cool.
Oh yeah, is it like a shake weight? Probably not.
I wasn't prepared for shake weight, though. Fusions did play well, particularly on that Winston on Sanctum with some good stuff there. And while the Reinhardts were getting jostled, that's just how the GOATS is working. It seems like Fusions was able to stay alive just for a little bit longer. But in terms of Earthshatter impactfulness, do you think Fusions was the winner there, too?
Yes, I would have to agree. There were multiple clear moments where his decision-making of when to ult made the difference for the fight. Several times on Hanamura really spring to mind, able to bait Fact-Fiction into the hallway and then shatter the team behind him. There was another great moment on Route 66, if I do believe. Yes, right through. You just have to know sometimes as a Reinhardt, you can see from his point of view, has no idea what's going on beyond the payload, but what he did know was that Fact-Fiction got pushed off a little bit to the side, and so the back would largely be open to him.
Well, he knew his job, and that's important for every member of your Overwatch team. We've talked about the standings a lot so far, so let's give you a visual of what we are talking about. Atlanta Academy on top right now. Look at that map win-loss differential. That is going to be, it might